Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another Six Questions with Dan and Michelle. Michelle, what's going on?
Just hanging out. What's up with
Hanging.
you, Dan?
I could get into it. Do you have all day? I could spend all day getting into what's going on with me. But the fact of the matter is, even though you were nice to ask, nobody cares. But you know what we do care about? We care about the fact that our guest is the most intriguing and our
Mhm.
good friend, Steve Panovski
Mhm.
of our client UBX Cloud. Hi, Steve.
Hey, oh, that's great. I like that you find that I'm intriguing.
We do.
I'm not bad for a nerd, right?
Well, I think
Nerds are the
I
best.
think the intrigue level of nerds is often underrated.
It
Mhm.
is. Nerds are cool now. They weren't cool when I was growing up, but they're cool now.
In
I
fact,
agree.
I have to tell you, in a way that irritates me a little, because there are people running around trying to call themselves nerds who really aren't because they think it's cool to do right now. Whereas if you really are one, you're like, hey, I've been a nerd since way back. And
I'm the OG nerd. Yeah.
so that's
That-
my sense of it. So Steve is the CEO of UBX Cloud, which is a company based right here in downtown Royal Oak, Michigan, same as us. And we're going to get into a second all of the interesting things they do in the field of IT and data and cloud and cybersecurity, and you're going to really enjoy it. But we've been wanting to have him as our guest for a while, so thanks so much for doing this. And
Yeah.
I think it's time to just get rolling with the questions.
Yeah. I try to make our profession as sexy and appealing as possible because sometimes it can be a little dry. So please go right ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for a sexy and digital and computerized 20 minutes or so. All right. Steve, you actually formed UBX Cloud. I think it was in 2008, right?
Yep.
And so obviously the digital world has evolved a lot since then. But really, the thing that I find most interesting right now is you're doing a lot of the things that the really big players are doing. Amazon, Microsoft, and we've learned just in making the case for your business that in so many ways you're doing them better than they are.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is this: whatever gave you the idea that you could jump into this area and do it better than the big guys?
Well, that's easy. The big guys weren't around when we were doing it. So
Okay.
our model very early on in 2008 was like bring the user to the data and not the data to the user, and provide our expertise and services along with the server infrastructure. So like a utility-based computing model. And we did this, we were running Citrix desktops as well, like floating desktops, so that users can access their environments and run applications remotely. This was all in 2008. Like, YouTube wasn't even like that big of a deal back then. And I feel like we were definitely really ahead of the game when it came to those technologies and the way that we saw people using them. And it took about a year, maybe a year and a half till we figured out like where we fit exactly. But that was one thing that was like to our core, is that we're the server experts, we're the data center guys. Let us manage what we do really well. And there's other disciplines and there's other specialties, and let them do what they do well and keep them in their lane and keep us in our lane. And it served us well. The products that we have developed are catching. Really, Amazon was the only provider that was doing utility-based compute. And we were the only ones that were doing Citrix desktops for small business. Those were usually reserved for very large companies. So to kind of answer your question, it was, um, our team is specialized in elastic and small. And I think that being able to focus on the 5 or 6 products that we have, and doing it as long as we have, that we've definitely developed an expertise that people come to us now for these kinds of architecture and rollouts.
Yeah, and one of the things that I know we really love about your team and your company, and you actually mentioned this in another interview we were doing earlier, if you're a company that's sitting there going, I wish that there was somebody I could consult with, that I could better understand my data needs, my cloud needs, my security needs. You're not picking up the phone and calling Microsoft or Amazon and getting somebody to answer saying, I'll be happy to help you with that. But they
Right.
can call you.
Yeah, calling big cloud is would be the equivalent of like calling Comcast because you want to talk to them and have a conversation about your internet service. Like nobody does that. That's like the 7 levels of hell there. And it's not just Comcast, AT&T and everyone else, but yeah, exactly. They're not approachable, and that's by design. Like they offer you a service that you're responsible for managing, and they just have to make sure that you can log into the website and see your services, and then that's it. That's the end of their responsibility. And the end of the day, Amazon's a bookstore. I mean, an e-shop now, and Microsoft's a software vendor to sell their operating system, and Google is a video and search engine. So these areas in that they're dabbling in, or not dabbling in, but actually dominating in, are like just kind of a sample to get you into their ecosystem and to the rest of their products. And you're the product, right? When when you need that consultative advice, you can call us and we can have a conversation with you about your needs for cloud and or what you're currently using, or how you want to leverage these technologies to improve your business outcomes. And we're approachable. Like we really enjoy what we're doing. We like managing servers. That's why we do this, and we've been doing this for 16 plus years professionally. So I welcome it. And
Yeah.
you're never going to get like a scary consulting bill, right? Like just for having a conversation, or like just getting an understanding of what you need, because that's not how we are. So we take that relationship-based selling and pre-engineering aspect of what we do, and we kind of just move that forward, and people seem to like it.
Stephen, what do you wish more people understood better about what you do?
Ooh. I mean, just from looking at like the business continuity standpoint, um, like we provide cloud services, which just means someone else's computer, right? So instead of me buying a server or me buying this system and putting it in my building and connecting it and paying people to set it up one time, you're paying on a consumption basis, like by the drink, right? You're paying based on what you're using. Um, the that is more understood now than it was 10 years ago, and definitely more accepted, but it was more forced by these software vendors. Um, and the benefit of this is that you can roll out things very quickly. You can remove things very quickly. If your company expands or contracts or has seasonal workloads, you can adjust those things. But I feel like where the boat is missed the biggest is going to be the data protection and data backup aspect of these environments, because people just assume that Microsoft is backing up their data and Amazon is backing up their data, and that is not going to happen. Even for all the email, like Microsoft 365 platform that like we're all probably using, they only keep 14 days of retention. So it's like if you are missing something in that mailbox and it's more than 14 days old, nobody's going to help you. No one's going to get that back for you. And that's why applying the same principles for that you would for your critical server infrastructure and your data needs to apply to your cloud environment as well. It's not just this magical box. Well, I guess you could consider it that way, but um, it needs to be cared and fed and backed up and protected. And we are expertly tuned for that. And we're good at it, and we enjoy it.
And a lot of people just, I mean, I know myself, we get that, you're out of storage, buy
Yeah,
more or delete more so you can use
the
your phone
service. Yeah.
or the
Yep.
service. Yeah. Which is really obnoxious.
It totally is. And like I mentioned about the like ecosystem lock-in, yeah, Amazon, Apple, all their devices are just designed to kind of have you interface with their services. And I mean, their services are good too, but it's like I'm not going to go to the same company that I watch Star Wars on to restore my, accounting and ERP system. Just because they have the infrastructure for those services and they have that portal, that's it. Like they're not responsible for any of it. You are. That misconception is dangerous because your business could be impacted and you might not be able to recover, or be, indelibly damaged by it. So that's kind of my biggest thing is like make sure you're backing up. Like if you're spending tons of money on big cloud, fine. Just make sure that you're protecting it and you have a copy of that data someone else. And if you don't, then we should talk because either we can back it up and protect it for you and show you like, look, this is something that you can get back tangibly, or just have someone give you a second pair of eyes and a second opinion because it never hurt.
Steve, I need to know this. If we, all of us right now, were Russian spies embedded and plotting to take down the Republic, what might we sound like?
Well, comrade, we would sound like this
Duh.
because in our space, cybersecurity especially, it doesn't matter if you're big business or small business, we kick all business. So the threat actors, they don't care. They're motivated. They've turned our profession into currency generating for their bad activities. So they're making money. It's a business enterprise. It's a criminal enterprise, and they're using our servers and systems all over the world to get in and do these things. So yeah, it's dangerous.
I don't know if people realize how many of, and this is, we're starting to learn these like cybersecurity terms, one of which is threat actors.
Mhm.
It's basically the people out there trying to digitally attack you. And I don't know if many people realize how many of them are A, off in other nations, and B, to one degree or another, state sponsored.
Yeah, yeah, it's rather frightening actually. We get at UBX, we get involved in what is called cyber remediation and restoration. So in any kind of cybersecurity incident, there's like key players, right? You've got like the incident happens, like whatever that is. Someone clicked on something, someone ran something, social engineering, whatever, something happened. Susie clicked on that thing, and all of a sudden, 16 offices are encrypted and no one can do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The threat actors, they have a online system for like deploying these things. They have a customer service system. It's a business, they'll like, hey, wire the Bitcoin here and I'll give you the decryptor and you can get all your files back and you can go back to doing what you're doing. And the depending on the target, right? It could be just a target of opportunity. It could be that the Russian hacker just throwing brick in window, and just taking the jewels. Or it could be, state-sponsored KGB, like we monitor you for 20 years. We know what you eat, we know what you drink, that kind of a thing. So they have an understanding, and if they're targeting you, they have a plan, right? And they can get in. So um, it's important to understand that the level of sophistication is increasing, and the stakes are much higher, right? Like if your building burned down, okay, you can buy another building or rent another building or relocate rather easily. But if your entire server infrastructure was encrypted or locked or destroyed and ransomed, you have no business to return to. you know that you can't run everything off paper files anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen. And I'm people are fine with investing in physical security, cameras, security people, analysts, all that stuff. And when it comes to their digital footprint and their business exposure and risk, it's they're not seeing it. And it's not because a lot of people just don't know, like until their insurance company comes to them and says, hey, whoa, we found this like door wide open and this is probably not good. Close it before we cancel your insurance policy. Like you should do something before that happens. So on the restoration and the remediation side, when these companies get hit, we're called in to recover and restore them. So we have a really deep understanding of the people involved in exploiting these weaknesses and getting the financial upside and not caring, if their actions kill people, right? Hospitals shutting down, life support systems shutting down. I mean, like really anything, public safety systems, all kinds of stuff. So they just want the Bitcoin, and it's scary. And seeing it from our perspective, oof, like I'm not a drinker, but there have been times where I'm like, I mean, maybe I should start, right? Because like seeing this stuff is just kind of rough.
Yeah.
Well stated, comrade.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, Stephen, what is your most fond memory with technology growing up?
Oh, that's an awesome one. The first time I connected my computer, which was a 46 SX Packard Bell, it was a beige box in the early 90s. First time I connected that to a bulletin board system. So we used our copper phone lines at the house, and I connected and I made a connection to another system, and it was awesome. It was a
Oh
whole new
my
world. It was like
gosh.
a matrix, right? So it
Did you
was,
have a modem?
oh yeah, yeah, I
Nice,
had a modem. I think 2400 baud, if I remember correctly. So slow, very slow. But there was text-based menus, and you can chat with people in your area. It was like everyone was connected to someone's computer, right? It's another cloud. Same
Yeah.
concept. Everyone
Yeah.
was connected to a beige box in someone's house nearby, and they're transferring files, and they're posting, they're posting chats, and you know, uh, they're sending private messages to each other. This was like, some of these bulletin boards actually had email addresses they gave you, which was like, whoa, you got an email address? Holy crap! Like only like big shots get that. Um, and it stuck with me, right? Like that excitement of connecting my little beige box to other beige boxes was just incredible. And when I entered my first data center 4 years after that, 3 or 4 years after that, I was instantly hooked. I was like, I don't know what is going on in this room, but I'm going to be a part of all of it. Right. And I love it. Like it was just instant. Like we just fell in love instantly. So it's really driven, our hobby turned into a profession, and that profession turned into a company. So, we still, at least I would probably say that about 80% of our staff still have that spark, right? And you can see it. You can see it in the work that we do and the clients that we interact with. And it's like, um, it's more than just a passion. And I say 80% because the network engineers, and the DevOps guys are just soulless minions. They have no empathy. So, I'm just being honest here. It's not just at our company, but it's like all companies. So those two particular IT disciplines are their own thing, but the rest of us are pretty good.
Do they have their own avatars?
Yeah, although the company has their own 8-bit avatars, and that just really kind of goes into our, we're children of the 80s and 90s. We actually have those same soulless minions that I was just mentioning, don't care for it. But but I really feel that it adds an element and understanding of like where we're coming from, like our roots. Japanese video games was the biggest thing on the planet for me when we were all growing up, and avatars were just a way of representing ourselves in these worlds. So if you do something profound at UBX Cloud, um, and you're recognized for it, you're awarded an avatar, and it's like a symbol of pride. Like we have people that are like, when am I going to get mine? And I'm like, do something awesome, right?
Cool.
Steve, you have, I guess we would probably say toddler at this point. Your youngest is a year and 8 months, you were just telling me. How did your previous experience with kids prepare you for this one?
I was never prepared, and I'm still not prepared. So I'm the youngest in my family. The first baby that I held was my own, and I've been scared since 2016 with the birth of my first daughter. Still scared. Better, I can change
Okay.
diapers really fast now.
Yeah,
Okay.
Uh,
that's good.
Yeah,
accurately?
uh, well, that kind of goes back into the whole I can like build a data center, but I can't put a shirt on the right way. So I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's functional.
Okay. Okay. So, but I mean, when you and most people will say that once they've had like one, you know, then when the subsequent ones come along, they don't freak out as much about the things that they freaked out about initially.
Yes.
Has that been your experience?
Oh yeah, and it's that's more of like just observing my wife on that.
Okay.
Um, I mean, if we could have put like a helmet and padded the rooms for my first daughter, we would have done everything possible to protect that child from everything. And my wife did. And the second one, the second girl, it was like, we
It'll be fine.
totally fine. And you know what? I think the second one is a bit more resilient, and can handle herself a bit better. And maybe it was because of the fact that she didn't have all those levels of protection and didn't have all that babying. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, you want the best for your child, right? And
Yeah.
when you're new at this, you're like, I don't know. Like I honestly thought, like I went to a class before my wife gave birth to our baby girl, and I'm like, isn't someone gonna like come up to the house and like I'm thinking like a Mulder and Scully type show up and be like, hey, you're getting to give birth in like 2 months, like we're gonna just give you like the rundown of how this works. That doesn't happen. Like I didn't know that. So I took a class and they went through some of this stuff and I'm like, this is crazy. Like people do this voluntarily? Like this is nuts. And I still have that feeling even now, but like I said, I'm better at certain things. And I also have a short memory, right? So it's like if I could, I'd have like 19 kids because that's awesome, right? That's a lot of help desk engineers that we can foster and grow, SOC analysts. But
Labor force demands it.
totally, totally, right? And the reality is that it sounds good on my side, but when I look at my wife and she's looking at me and she's giving me the, then
I'm
I'm like, oh yeah, this is hard. Okay, I remember now.
I'm still kind of stuck on the fact that when you thought about people who would show up at your door to explain how to parent, that the names that came to your mind were Mulder and Scully, of all
100%.
people.
100%. Well, because again, child of the 80s and 90s, so like that's what I thought. Like, hey, they show up and they warn you of like a harbinger of doom, or they warn you of like whatever they're trying to help you. Like this is what government does, right? Like that's what I thought. And no, like our most important thing to do on this planet is like you just get thrown into the fire. Like my wife at least babysitted a lot when she was younger and she had a younger brother, so she was I mean, she was definitely prepared. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. We should just get cats because this is too much.
Right. Steven, speaking of your wife,
Ah,
what do you love most about her?
oh my God. So much. Um, she's she's got the hair of three women. She's tall, she's strong, she's cultured. She's incredible. I We got set up on a blind date and I can't believe that it actually worked. Um, and we're both we're my family was from the former Yugoslavia, her family as well, but she was born there. And she came to the United States when she was like I think 3 years old. But she's so much more in tune with our culture and our history and the language. And I love the fact that as you know, I met her when I was 28, and at 28, I understood my culture and my family's history and past and the food and all that wonderful stuff that makes America awesome from her later in life. So it's really cool to be able to continue that journey and, you know, go through it with someone who is just as flawed as me and is just like how I have my obstacles and issues with putting t-shirts on or whatever. She has her own areas of deficiency and we definitely work to kind of fill each other's cup. And she's just awesome. So I like it all. Like it's not just that she's smart and pretty and awesome and strong and tall and she can kick my butt. because she totally could. I'm only like 5'9", right? She could really hurt me. But that she brings out the best in me. And I think that most relationships, that isn't always the case.
Yeah.
I think that's true. When you got one that works that way, you want to hang on to that for sure.
Our first date, we went to a Middle Eastern restaurant and she had like 2 huge servings of garlic. And I'm like, she's awesome.
There are a lot of girls who are scared of that.
Yeah, right?
Not me. I'm
Oh,
right there with her.
She just walked in, she's like, I'm fearless. Yeah, it was like, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I like garlic and pita. This is good, So at that, and at that point, it was like it clicked, right? I used to be a smoker too, and when she looked at me, like she's like, "Oh, you smoke?" And I saw that look of like disappointment. I'm like, mental note, quit smoking.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, but like 11 years I smoked, and it was like for the first time in my life, I'm actually looking at that and saying, I actually care that she's against this, right? Whereas normally I'd be like, well, that's something that I like and I'm going to continue doing it. So I knew that something was special about her from the very beginning. And as I'm growing old with her, I'm really learning that it's like she's even more amazing than I realize every year.
One of the best answers we've ever had to question 6, I think.
Oh, thank you. And she's hot. I mean, I tell her that all the time. But she's like,
And actually, unlike we actually did have the pleasure of meeting her a few minutes ago, which is not normal for this. So
yeah.
so that was very nice as well.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, thanks so much for being our guest today and for everything that we've gotten the opportunity to do with you so far. We've really enjoyed it. And you guys are great. So it's been a great interview. It's been good to get to know you a little better. Michelle, as always, thanks for your part. And everybody, thanks for watching. We will see you again in the new year for another 6 questions with Dan and Michelle.
Awesome.